Welcome to Mac Voices. This is a talk of the Mac community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. And we're in a very windy Yerba Buena Gardens in San Francisco at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference. This time we've corralled John from Golden Hill Software to tell us about CloudPull. John, it's great to have you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Chuck.
So, John, CloudPull, I only became aware of your service and software probably a couple weeks ago, and I've been delinquent. I haven't signed up, but I want to because it sounds like something I really need to do. What is CloudPull?
So CloudPull is a Google account backup app. What CloudPull does is it backs up your Gmail, your Google Contacts, your Google Calendars, the documents and other files on Google Drive, and also your Google Reader subscriptions. It backs them all up to your Mac, and it just runs in the background, backs them up every hour.
Or can I set it, or is that required every hour?
It's configurable. You can set it to every hour, every day, or somewhere in between.
Okay. Now that sounds simple, but it's something that for someone who's adopted Gmail as my primary email client, I've suddenly realized I don't have a backup. So if Google would do anything stupid, or if there'd be an accident, or whatever, I could be in trouble. So now we have a situation where I can pull all this stuff down. How much bandwidth does this chew up, and what kind of space are we talking about in general terms for, say, an average user?
The amount of space just depends on how much data you have in your Google account. If you have, several gigabytes of email in your Gmail account, then it will take up several gigabytes of space on your hard drive. You can control that to some extent by, if you choose not to back up certain labels, like maybe mailing list subscriptions, things like that, then you don't have to back up everything if you choose not to.
Can I control it by, say, after 2 years ago, I don't need anything, so don't back that up?
It backs up everything. By default, it backs up everything. You can limit by label, and you can limit by service. You can choose to back up Google Drive, but not Gmail, or the other way around. There's nothing right now to filter out by date, but that's definitely something I'll look into for the future.
Now, when I back up my stuff, you just mentioned labels and all. What am I getting, especially I'm thinking Gmail, if I've organized things by label and all, are they all coming with it?
Yeah, absolutely. CloudPull keeps track of what messages are associated with which labels, and if you have a message associated with several individual labels, it'll only keep one copy of that message, but it'll know that that message is associated with each of those different labels. You can also choose to back up unlabeled mail, or you can choose not to back up unlabeled mail.
Okay, so all of us are familiar with Apple Mail, how it puts it into the folder metaphor and all. And we're talking about labels here. Are the labels meta tags, or are they organized into folders, or how does it work?
So when CloudPull stores it by label, but if you choose to restore your data to Apple Mail, it'll put that into a folder exactly as Apple Mail expects.
And you just took the next question, is the restore. I mean, I've got this backup, that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. If I need to restore, where am I restoring to? Am I restoring back to Gmail, or can I restore to Apple Mail or another email client?
So CloudPull doesn't restore directly back to Google. It restores to your local apps. In the case of Mail, it restores to Apple Mail. In the case of Google Docs that are stored on Google Drive, it backs them up in Office format, and you can just open them up with Office or import them into iWork, or you can upload them back to Google on your own if you choose. Calendars and contacts are backed up in iCal format or address book format, and Google Reader subscriptions can be imported either into Safari or into NetNewsWire.
So I guess what I'm hearing is this is really a very simple thing. I'm going to have all my information. It's going to be local. I can work with it if I choose to, but I can still continue to use the Google apps and Google Docs and Google everything if I wish to.
Right. The idea is that if keep using Google services exactly as you use them now, but if you want to. But if the worst thing was to happen, if Google was to disappear from the planet, you have a local copy of all your data, and restoring from that local data doesn't even rely on Google in any way.
And I think at this point, maybe I may have just confused things. This is not a sync service. This is a backup service, so it's really coming one way.
Right. It's a one-way backup service. The idea is, if something gets deleted, it'll still be in your backups, and CloudPull maintains point-in-time snapshots of your data for well, it's configurable, but 90 days by default. So you can go back a month in time and see exactly what was in your Google account a month ago.
Is it fair to say that this may be a little like Time Machine for Google for Mac users?
Well, that's exactly the idea, is something where you can literally go back in time to your old backups in exactly the same kind of way that you can with Time Machine.
Okay, so it's a very simple concept. It seems to be very elegantly implemented. How much does it cost?
It's $24.99. So it's
per what?
Per user. You can have multiple accounts, up to 10 accounts, but it's licensed on a user-by-user basis.
Okay, but this is not a subscription thing where I pay you $24.99 every month or every year. It's a one-time shot, and I'm purchasing the software?
Right, it's a one-time cost.
That's great. So that means all you have to do is just make sure all the connections with Google still work, and it's very affordable for me. And anybody that's listened to the show knows backups. It seems like that's every third word on the show is backups. So this gives us an option to back up stuff that right now we probably don't have backed up and really should.
Right, I think it's a common weak point in that most people understand that they need to have a backup of their hard drive, and most of the people also assume that Google backs up their own servers, and of course they do, but you don't necessarily have easy access to them when you might need them. So.
Yeah, and every once in a while, it's pretty rare, but every once in a while you hear a horror story about Google, or any online service, but Google in this case, where mail gets lost or contacts disappear. They usually come back after Google realizes a problem and does a backup. But, why not have something local that easy, and especially something as important as the cloud is becoming to all of us?
Right, and that's the idea, is you always have a local copy of your data. Maybe you need to get at it because your account was hacked. Maybe you need to get at it because of a Google service outage. Or maybe you just need to get at it because you're offline. You have a local copy of your data.
Yeah, I admit, spending time on planes now, that's one place we don't, depending on what airline you fly, you may not have access to your Google Mail or some of this stuff. So this way I can have a copy on my local hard drive. It's not a sync, but it means I can actually get some work done if I really need to.
Right, that's exactly the idea.
Great. Before we tell folks where to go to get it, how about WWDC? What's your impression of the conference this year?
It's a great show. Mountain Lion looks really impressive. iOS 6 looks really impressive, and I'm drooling over the new MacBook Pros.
Who isn't?
Exactly. I can't talk about the things that have happened in the session because that's under non-disclosure agreement, but what I can tell you is it's been a great conference. Apple's doing a great job, and all the new products are really exciting.
Have you been up to the Apple Store to see the new machine? Or no, you all had access to one in there to see it, didn't you?
Yeah, we have the ability to see it inside. I think I can talk about this. Inside a case, inside the Moscone, they have a MacBook Air that we can see.
I got a chance to see one for the first time, and the screen just blew me away. It's absolutely gorgeous, and even shifting resolutions is gorgeous from the smallest or largest, depending on your point of view, the whole way to the other end of the spectrum. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I saw a tweet this morning that said something like, I looked at one of the new MacBook Pros, and now my MacBook is all grainy.
Seems like I've heard that about iPad 2 versus iPad 3.
Exactly, same kind of thing.
The Retina display is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
As a developer, what have you heard? And again, I know you're under NDA for some things, but just in general, you say that Mountain Lion and iOS 6 excites you. As a developer, what parts, what really punched your button that you may want to try to take advantage of?
Much better iCloud integration. That's a big thing. Gatekeeper is a good thing because it'll keep the platform that much more secure from viruses and other malware. New SDKs. I got to be careful what I say about that, but new SDKs are exciting. It all looks exciting.
Well, that's good. We've heard nothing but glowing reports from this year's conference, NDA or not. It seems like everyone's having a great time and learning a lot and really excited about the future.
Yeah, that's definitely been my experience and been the impression I've gotten from everyone I've talked to as well.
So for everyone who should go out and back up all their Google material, where do they go get CloudPull?
So it can be downloaded from my website, which is at goldenhillsoftware.com. Exactly, goldenhillsoftware.com. It's also available in the Mac App Store.
Great, and I'll have links in the show notes to everything, of course.
Great.
John, thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner in San Francisco at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, and this is Mac Voices. Thanks for watching.
MacVoicesTV is part of the MacVoices Group and a member of Mac Level 10.